All right, today we're diving deep, venturing into a world of permanent twilight and then absolute darkness. We're going to uncover one of the ocean's deepest secrets. So let's take the plunge.
It sounds like such a simple question, doesn't it? How bright is the seafloor? You might be picturing a dazzling sandy bottom in the tropics, or maybe a dark, murky abyss. But as it turns out, the real answer is, well, it's way more interesting than that. To really get to the bottom of this, we're literally going to follow a single beam of light on its incredible journey, down into the darkness. Okay, so right off the bat, you need to know this isn't a simple question, not at all. It's actually a really complex dance between physics, geology, and even biology. I mean, think about all the things that play a part. The brightness depends on everything, from how deep the water is, and of course, how clear it is, to what the seafloor is actually made of. Are we talking sand, mud, rock? And it doesn't stop there. Even the texture of the bottom, how rough or smooth it is, and all the tiny little particles or living critters floating around in the water. Yeah, all of that plays a crucial role.
So let's start at the very beginning. What happens the second sunlight first hits the surface of the water? Because that's where this whole filtering process really kicks off.
Okay, picture a sunbeam, right? It's not just white light. It's this whole bundle of every color in the rainbow. The moment it hits the water, the ocean acts like this giant filter and just starts stripping those colors away. The warm colors, your reds, your oranges, your yellows, they're the first to get knocked out. They're gone within the top 10, maybe 30 meters. Greens hang on a little longer, but eventually only those deep, moody blues and violets have what it takes to punch through into the real deep.
So there's actually a scientific name for this whole process. It's called light attenuation. And what's key here is that it's an exponential decay. That means the light doesn't just fade away nice and gently. Nope, it vanishes incredibly fast. The deeper you go, the quicker the last bits of light just get snuffed out. And the cool thing is, scientists can actually measure and model this using something called the Beer-Lambert law.
All right, so if we're going to see any kind of serious reflection, it's got to be up in the shallows, right? That's where there's still enough light for anything to bounce off of. This top layer of the ocean, it's called the Photic Zone. And it's a huge deal. This is where pretty much all marine life, I'm talking over 99% of it, calls home. And why? Because there's enough sunlight here to power photosynthesis, which is basically the engine for all life in the sea. So yeah, for our question about brightness, this is ground zero. And up here, the difference is just wow. It's night and day. You take clear, tropical water over a white sandy bottom, and it reflects so much light that you get that incredible postcard perfect turquoise glow you see from an airplane. But you swap that out for a muddy bottom in some murky estuary, that seafloor just eats the light. It becomes totally invisible even if you're only a few meters down. And the numbers really drive this home. That bright sandy bottom, it can reflect up to 30% of the light that hits it. 30%. But that muddy bottom, we're talking less than 1%. So the big takeaway here is that what the seafloor is made of is just as important as how clear the water is. And just when you think you've got it figured out, it gets even more complicated. Because life itself gets in on the action. Think about it. Massive seagrass meadows, crazy vibrant coral reefs, huge carpets of algae. They all act like their own little optical filters. They absorb certain colors for photosynthesis and reflect others, literally painting the seafloor with their own unique light signatures. Okay, so we've seen the sunlit shallows. Now it's time to buckle up and take the plunge. We're going down into the real darkness. So, by the time we hit 200 meters, we are leaving the photic zone behind. We're officially in what's called the twilight zone. And at this point, less than 1% of the sunlight that hit the surface has made it this far down. Keep going deeper, and the drop-off is it's staggering. The light intensity just plummets. We're talking a tiny, almost unmeasurable fraction of what we started with. This is a world of permanent, deep dusk. And then you pass 1,000 meters. You've reached the abyss. And here, the number is simple. It's absolute. It's zero. No sunlight gets here. None. It is a place of permanent, total, absolute darkness. Yeah, at these depths, the whole idea of reflecting sunlight just doesn't make any sense because there is no sunlight to reflect. The only light you're ever going to find down here is the eerie glow from living creatures themselves, bioluminescence, or, the headlights from a deep-sea sub. Okay, so we've established that the vast majority of the ocean floor is pitch black, but so what? Why does this actually matter? Why do scientists spend so much time and energy studying this?
Well, it turns out the applications are all over the place, and they're fascinating. We use this knowledge to map precious coral reefs from space. We use it to model how our coastlines absorb heat, which is critical for climate science. It helps us guide deep-sea robots that are exploring for new resources or looking for ancient shipwrecks. It even helps us design probes to go search for life under the ice on moons like Europa. I mean, how cool is that?
But really, at the end of the day, this is about more than just what we can see. It's about energy. A dark seafloor absorbs a lot more of the sun's energy as heat. That warms up coastal waters, and that affects everything from local weather patterns to which species can even survive there. It's a fundamental piece of the puzzle for how our entire planet's climate system works. So, the bottom of the sea isn't one thing. It's this incredible spectrum, from brilliantly reflective, sun-drenched gardens all the way down to a pitch-black abyss, where light itself is a biological miracle. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In this massive ocean of darkness, what other amazing discoveries are just waiting for us to shine a little light on them?